like you. No, 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 I never knew love like you.
The cafeteria buzzed with the usual lunchtime chatter, the clinking of trays, and bursts of laughter from various corners. But my focus was on Park Jimin, the school's infamous playboy, leaning casually against the vending machine, his signature smirk firmly in place.
What's he up to now?
My best friend, Sarah, nudged me, following my line of sight.
Probably collecting another phone number.
I muttered, my salad with unnecessary aggression.
It's his favorite pastime. Careful, YN.
Sarah, grinning.
Someone might think you're jealous. Jealous? Of Park Jimin? Please.
I rolled my eyes, but my stomach flipped when his gaze suddenly locked onto mine. Before I could look away, he started walking toward our table. No.
Ladies.
He greeted smoothly, flashing that stupidly perfect smile. His eyes. Me.
Can I talk to you for a second?
Sarah's eyebrows shot up, but she stayed quiet. I hesitated, then stood up, crossing my arms.
What do you want, Jimin?
Asked, keeping my tone flat.
Straight to the point. I like that. Listen, I've got a proposition for you.
I'm not interested.
I said automatically.
Hear me out first.
He leaned in slightly, lowering his voice.
I bet you can't make me fall in love with you.
My mouth fell open.
What?
You heard me.
His grin widened.
You're always looking at me like you're above my games, so let's make it interesting. Prove it. Make me fall for you.
The audacity of this guy.
Why would I even waste my time?
I back.
Because,
he said, leaning closer.
You like a challenge as much as I do, and if you win, I'll quit my games. For good.
I blinked. That was unexpected.
And if I lose?
His eyes sparkled with mischief.
Then you have to admit you're not as immune to my charm as you pretend to be.
I should have walked away. I should have laughed in his face. Instead, I found myself saying,
Fine. Challenge accepted.
Over the next few days, I threw myself into the task. If Jimin wanted to play games, I'd beat him at his own. But as much as I hated to admit it, he wasn't making it easy.
Morning, YN?
He greeted cheerfully one day, sliding into the seat next to me in chemistry.
Did you miss me?
Like a toothache.
I replied without looking up from my notes. He chuckled.
Come on, you've got to give me more than that. If we're going to do this, you have to actually try.
I finally looked at him.
I don't need to try. You're already halfway in love with me.
His eyebrows up, and for a split second I thought I saw surprise flicker in his eyes. But then he grinned.
Careful, YN. That confidence might make me fall faster.
By the end of the week, I'd learned a few things about Jimin. 1. He was annoyingly charming. 2. He was surprisingly attentive. And 3. He was a master of turning the tables.
So, what's your favorite movie?
He asked during lunch one day, leaning on his elbows as he studied me.
Why do you care?
I asked suspiciously.
Because I want to know you.
He said simply. For a moment, I couldn't tell if he was joking. His expression was too earnest.
Beauty and the Beast.
I admitted reluctantly. His face lit up.
As you wish.
I couldn't help laughing.
You've actually seen it?
I'm full of surprises.
He said, winking. Somewhere along the way, the lines began to blur. It was little things at first. The way he listened when I talked, the way his gaze softened when he thought I wasn't looking. And then there were the moments that felt too real to be part of a game. Like the night of the spring carnival.
Come on, YN.
Jimin said, tugging my hand.
The Ferris wheel is the best part.
I hesitated, but his enthusiasm was. As the Ferris wheel climbed higher, the town lights spread out below us, and the air grew cooler. Jimin was unusually quiet. His gaze fixed on the horizon.
What's on your mind?
I asked. He glanced at me. his usual smirk replaced by something softer.
You,
My breath hitched.
Jimin.
I know this started as a game,
He said, his voice low.
but it doesn't feel like one anymore.
For a moment I couldn't speak. My heart was racing, and I hated how much I wanted to believe him.
How do I know you're not playing me?
I whispered. He reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear.
You don't, but I'm willing to spend the rest of my life proving it to you.
It was the kind of line that should have made me roll my eyes. Instead I leaned in and, And for the first time, Park Jimin didn't feel like a playboy. He just felt like mine.